Hello. Hello, everyone. This is JavaScript Competency Center week, the last but not least day. So, we had 5 days of technical talks, and today is not the exception. So, today we will have a technical talk about business, about behavior driven development and how it helps business analysts and developers. But before we start, let me tell you a bit about the event in general that we currently have right now. So, it was a series of technical talks, and together we managed to combine approximately 1K of participants worldwide. That's really, really impressive. So, don't forget to click like button, share, and spread the word. If you do like some of the technical talk that you've seen so far with us, just let us know, drop a comment, and share with your friends the link. And actually, we've got also good information about we had 8 JavaScript technical specialists, 8 JavaScript gurus who shared their wisdom and knowledge with us. So that's really impressive as well. So if you want to follow us everywhere that you can, so for instance, like YouTube channel or Instagram, we've got, just click the like, follow us, and you will know more, and you will uh, do your best with following the trends. So how about we start with, as I said last but not least, technical talk within this JavaScript Competency Center week, and it's going to be all about behavior-driven development. So please welcome Anton, who was JavaScript developer, Python developer, but right now he decided to switch to project management instead. So all things technical, but not that technical, so maybe business, who knows? Anton, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pavel. And hello, everyone. I'm super happy to see you all. And probably you know that I'm a big fan of behavior-driven development. And this is because I faced this process from the both side as a BA, PM, and developer as well. And today I'm going to tell you a story about behavior-driven development in general. And I will show you its pros and cons, and maybe you will consider to use it in your pet projects or even in real projects. Okay, so let's start. Mm, let's just take a look at the common situation. In business analysis world, we call it as is, so how it happens. So in nowadays, PA gathers requirements from PO or the client. Then business analyst writes tasks. Then developers do implementation, testing, and deployment. So pretty simple, and probably you are working here in this process, working every day. So, but what happens? What happens when something goes wrong? So I think you were in this situation many times. So BA tells you, "Hey, this is not working." But developer says, okay, it works as you wrote. He says, well, I meant it other way. And those are discussions, emails, back and forth, and then BA revolving the task. And this is a lose-lose-lose situation. Lose for business analyst, lose for developer, and lose for the project itself. So probably you were in that situation that PA and developer, they are on different sides of the barricade. And also about new feature about deployment. Yes, so we created new functionality and it works, but there are corner cases, so it doesn't work. So I would like to introduce you behavior-driven development just to resolve those issues. So behavior-driven development, it's an agile software development process that encourages collaboration among developers, QAs, and customer representative in a software project. So from this big official sentence, we see that this is an agile, so we can use it for iterative development. Encourages, that means that we have some specs, but they are not mandatory. Collaboration, that means it's a next step of communication for those people in a software project. But of course, it could be used not in software project. You can even use behavior-driven development in, I don't know, for building houses, but well, probably it would require some tools and costs. But yeah, here, well, of course, we are looking for a software project. Behavior-driven development combines the general techniques and principles of TDD with ideas from domain-driven design and object-oriented analysis, and designed to provide software development and management teams with shared tools and the shared process to collaborate on software development. Well, yes, this is a very official sentence. So let's try to understand what it says. So that these techniques combines the general techniques and principles of TDD. We will talk about test-driven development a little bit later, but we can see that behavior-driven development is some sort of a further development of TDD. And also we can see domain-driven design, object-oriented analysis. So we have here we have combined some BA stuff with developer stuff, and its aim is to provide software development and management teams with shared tools. So that means that BDD is to make BAs, not BAs, but just managers and developers and the client and the project to be friends, not foes. Okay, so in general, yes, in general, under the hood, BDD is a TDD. So the simple BDD flow. BA writes use cases in special language, about which we'll talk a little bit later. And when we run, we receive red BDD response because, well, we don't have anything tested. We don't have anything implemented. So that's why we have red tests. Then we have feature. We are implementing the feature. Then we receive green results of tests. Now it comes to for testers, for QAs, and the process repeats in Agile. So you can see here probably that this is a typical TDD approach. So we are writing red tests, then we implement them, the tests become green, and then the process repeats. So what's the main benefit here? I think that the main benefit about like test-driven development is that we are making sure that all our tests will be green before we move further. And tests, they can help us to describe how the application should work. But the main difference between DDD and TDD is that in BDD, we are defining not the particular implementation, but how the application works. So the example will be a little bit later. So do we need it? So yes, this is to make BAs and devs. This is to make them friends. So the very basics of special language called Gherkin. So Gherkin is a language that you can see that this language is totally human readable, and this is exactly a feature that could be done, that anyone can write and then run a special translator to transform it into code. So this is what BA writes. So we have a feature keyword, we have scenario keyword, and we have given, when, then. So in business analyst world, the given, when, and then, it's like a AAA approach from the like unit testing. So given means give the context, when it's an action, and then it's a assert. So this is AAA: arrange, act, and assert. So you can see that those are pretty common. This is a very basic example of a real code. So we have scenario about shopping. We have given, we have a context that we have everything, and when I check my list, then I don't need anything. So in this case, we are given the context that we assume that we are out of shopping, and we have some things to check. And this, in this case, we can see that the application and the business analyst, they doesn't want to understand how it works, because in test-driven development we can see, okay, if x equals true, then we can say that. So here this is described a total behavior, and we don't care about how can I check my list. We don't care about what we don't care in how we can implement I don't need anything, because in this case we don't care about the implementation, we care about the behavior. And also here we can see that if we have, for example, to do like to to understand that we don't need anything, we have eggs, milks, and butter, and for example, we don't need to have a cookies, and in case if we have cookies, then this will be failed. This will be like caused as a failure. So that means that we have some corner cases covered as well, and this is one of the big advantages of test-driven development. But of course, it heavily depends on how it was written and how we how we actually write it and how we implement it. Okay, let's move further. So some questions. First of all, do we need to strive for 100% of coverage? Of course not, because BDD, it's about covering the most important behavior parts. So we don't need to cover everything. We need to understand that our software does what it should do and does not what it should not do. So in this case, it's a little bit different. Is it about unit testing or end-to-end testing? So technically, we don't care really, because we can write unit testing. We can even write unit tests using using Gherkin language or using BDD approach. But well, practically it's end-to-end. Practically because end-to-end tests, it's about how the application works, and it simulates the behavior of a real user. So in the most cases, they are end-to-end tests. So you can use any framework you want. It could be Selenium, it could be, well, Cypress. So it's totally up to you. How can we process the change request? So this is a very important question, and this approach allows us to make changes like a normal agile change request, starting from features and then to code. So in case if we need to change something in our requirements, so we just changing and making a pull request, merge request with our file, and after that we will start the tune up process, because we will have red tests because of changed requirements. And this process could be transparent because it's an agile process. Okay, so how it works? Well, business analyst writes use cases in Gherkin language that I demonstrated like a couple slides before. Developer writes a program that transforms Gherkin statements into test cases. So it's I think there will be a live codecast, but not today, about this. So I will show how it works from the beginning. But it's just a common JavaScript library which you can use. Then developer observes red tests, obviously because we don't have anything implemented. Dev implements functionality. Dev observes green tests, and all the tests should be green, not only tests that was written right now, but every test should be green. And then we are going to profit. So yes, that's it for now, and I hope to have a good discussion with you. So, Pavel, I think I hope there are some questions. So, yeah, let's have a discussion.
Actually, I do not see any questions as of now.
Mhm.
Well, let me recheck the chat that we've got so far. Um, nope, no further questions. So most likely that means that you've covered the topic very well, and we are good to go. Um, but let's like wait a minute or so. Uh, though I will ask a question if you don't mind, right?
Yes,
So
please.
yeah, like in general, we had sort of like technical talks, right, through the
Mhm,
JavaScript Competitive
mhm,
Center week. Though, what was your main motivation? What was your aspiration to conduct such a not that really technical-ish talk to this technical audience? What was your like main goal, your aspiration?
mhm. So the first of all, that BDD, behavior-driven development, it's a thing that connects people from mm, different backgrounds and different titles, different positions, and in project. So this is something that makes people common. And also, that was a like probe and interest check if people are interested. And you can write in comments, you can write in chat if you are interested in having live coding session, like it's more technical, mm, to create some endpoints and to understand how it works in a nutshell. But because it's pretty common, but well, probably you can probably you can have a couple of inspirations over there. So BDD, it's about methodology. It's not about technology, and BDD doesn't care about technology overall, because the main benefit of it is that you can have a project with different technologies in it. For example, front end could be written in Angular, a backend could be written like several microservices. One could be written in Golang, another in Ruby, Express. We don't care, and we can write a one big set of features, one big set of uh, behavior behavior descriptions, and it could work. So, and we don't care about the technology. So that's why.
Hmm. Okay, I see. Thank you for that. Well, actually, we do have quite a number of questions for you because we've
Nice.
got a competition for the prize, I assume, and and in general, the talk was quite interesting for many of us. So, how to sell the idea of writing tests to your business analyst? So that's the question from Evgeny.
Yeah, I will show. Probably I will show you couple of. Oh, I will show you one of. So because of this, and so just a second, and to avoid this, because discussion takes a lot of time, and this is lose situation for everyone, and because sometimes the business analysts, they write in language that could be not understood, mm, like in the same way. Because, for example, I want you to add endpoint that will, I don't know, list the books of particular author. So as a developer, you will have a lot of questions to that. So how this endpoint should be named, what it should do, what should it do if we don't have any books for that author. Should it return 404, or should it return an empty array? So in this case, of course, BA can write it in use case, but just imagine when your application will be that big and you will make changes for the particular for the particular, like, I don't know, functionality that will change, for example, empty array, or it will change, it will tell just, no, it will change from just HTTP status to an empty array. And so your applicant, you need to check everything. So probably it will be not the easiest way, not the easiest situation. So it could lead us to big problems. But here we have a common language, which is in which our software talks, in which our BA talks, and in which our developers talk. So it's the common language.
Okay, okay, gotcha. So up for the next one, when not to use BDD, when it is a bad idea.
Yes, it's a very good question. And I should mention that behavior-driven development, of course, it's not a magical pill. So we should not use BDD in case if we have not clear from the other side. If we have a project running, so and the project development works fine, so we don't want to like make it fully on BDD. So everything that works now should work. So BDD, it's not about making things work in the end of SDLC. The next thing is when our project it's not it doesn't have a lot of a lot well designed and well described behavior line. For example, we can have a service, just a plain service, very narrow behaved. So in this case, we don't have a big and well-developed behavior line. So the service will do something really small and something really, no, something really narrow. So in this case, BDD it won't help. So a plain TDD approach would work here. But if user is heavily involved here, if the user or if there are a lot of services which are dependent on our software and our services are like they have different use cases, a lot of use cases, a lot of corner cases. In this case, BDD would work. But well, if if your application doesn't have a, doesn't have to have a well developed behavior line, then you don't need BDD.
All right, yeah, true. Uh, so the next one is about difference between TDD and BDD. Like, what's the main difference between them?
Mhm. Yes, in general, TDD it checks how your software is developed, and BDD describes how your software behaves. So what's the difference? The TDD it's heavily, for example, if you can have different implementations and you can have the same result. So BDD it checks the highlights. It doesn't check how to click the button. Doesn't check how to enter the data and what. Of course, it checks if you I don't know if you enter the wrong data, but not that heavily as TDD does. For example, you have I don't know you have an input field with numbers. So in BDD it says, okay, if I input the number, um, I, I need and then I need to have some result. And in TDD you will have you need to check what will happen if I enter the wrong format, for example, not a number but string or date or so on so on. So in BDD we don't need to check it. We check only the behavior, but of course we can say, okay, if I enter the wrong value, I should get an error. But it's not detailed. So BDD it's about highlights and it's about the behavior line.
hmm Thank you. And we've got one more. So, how do you estimate overall this approach in your daily working life, like in your opinion?
Well, it's about hard to establish, easy to work. Because to start the project using BDD, it would require, of course, it would require some to connect some libraries and so on, but it also require you to have BA and developers who are agreed to work on it. And also there should be a process about a process about reviewing, about discussing, and so on. And this process it's quite close to sprint planning, to sprint grooming, and so on. So that's why it could be easier after it started. So I can evaluate it. It's heavy to start, but easy to run.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sweet. And how do you trace the BDD test to the actual formal requirements it covers or not covered?
It's about it's a task for BAs because BAs it lies on their shoulders. But in general, BAs should have use cases covered almost all the behavior, how it works, and what it should do and what it should not do. So for BAs, it will be just a plain work to write a plain use cases. For example, as a user, I want to log in. I should enter the correct login data, and I should proceed into into the system. So in BDD, it would change to given correct user when I enter the correct uh, data, then I need to be logged in. And so this is it. So it's about BAs to track here.
All right. I see your point. Cool. So Anton, what do you think, like in general, about questions? Easy, easy stuff.
Well, I'm really happy that this is interesting for people. I really
Mm-hmm.
encourage you to try it at least at your pet projects, or maybe you can have a project with your friends or colleagues. And this definitely transforms your mindset a little bit because you start to think a little bit different, and so you start to think about as a business analyst, and this leads you to some really interesting insights. So I really encourage. And yes, of course, I'm happy that people are interested in this.
Okay, okay. So, well, actually, the reason I asked about like the easy or not easy questions is that surprise, surprise, we've got ChatGPT AI-ish question. So,
Yeah.
surprise, right? So, what do you think? Will AI change the popularity of TDD? For David, it looks like AI can generate good unit tests based on source code, which is the opposite of TDD. So, what do you
Mhm.
think about this AI question?
So AI is a good tool. It's a really great tool, but we should think about it as a good hammer or good calculator. So mm, it's not a thing that will do its work for us. So it's one step, a big step to mm, the main postulate of cybernetics, which says that a man should think and computer should work. So of course, it can generate unit tests for the code, but TDD approach it's totally opposite. It generates, we should generate the code based on tests. So of course, ChatGPT will be a good help, and I've tried myself to have to build an application purely on ChatGPT using the BDD approach. So it was an interesting case, and probably you see a lot of YouTube challenges, like successful challenges, when a person writes an application using only ChatGPT without writing even a line of code. So yes, of course it would change uh, the person should a man should think and a man should plan because ChatGPT actually it will do what would you say to it. It's another tool, and you need to know what to say.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Um, Well, actually, there is not a question, though, note, let's say, from Christian, the guy who asked you about the stuff, how to, just a sec, about how to sell, sorry, how to trace BDD test and
Mhm.
requirements. So actually, he added that the best way to sell the BA to write scenarios would be to minimize misunderstanding between formal requirements and implementation, but also being able to express more accurate the acceptance criteria and decrease E2E testing efforts and increase quality and confidence and coverage of core path. So that's like
Mhm. Yeah,
observation from Christian.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah, like really well formed, nothing to add,
yeah.
nothing to adjust. Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. So you will have acceptance criteria when all of your tests are green. So this is the main acceptance criteria, and of course, you need to all your BDD scenario. It should add something to that test, but it should not
Mhm.
be against all other tests. But it's
All right.
those are details. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Yet another question from Nadia. Who should write BDD if there is no BA on the project? Huh? How about that, Anton?
Yes. So of course, in ideal world, the BDD issues, the tests, like all those use cases, it should be written by, I don't know, PM, PO, so somebody from the management side. It's an in ideal world, of course. It you can set the process that even somebody from the client side could write it. Yes, but sometimes, and actually, it's also a case where you should not use BDD. But sometimes the client has good technical background, and you have a small project, and the client can talk directly, and client talks directly to a team lead. So in this case, you don't need an additional layer. So you can just talk using use cases or even something called generated. But yes, in general, somebody from project and technical management should be responsible for writing use cases.
Okay, got it. And last but not least question, well, very important question, so brace yourself, Anton. Why PacMan t-shirt? Any reason about it? PacMan doesn't mean TDD. So could
Of
you comment a
course,
bit on that?
of course, and you can see it's also written in Japanese. Yes, of course, because Pac-Man is a behavior-driven development, because when you play Pac-Man, you have a lot of different behavior lines, and you have a lot of strategies that you can implement, and actually it represents in the real world. So if you don't want to be caught by those scary things, you need to so your strategy to be implemented, so all of your tests will be always green.
All right. Uh, Thank you. So I don't see any other questions. So I assume that right now we have sort of like a decision time, right? So
Mhm.
Anton, could you pick the best or the most interesting question from the audience before we wrap up?
I think I really like the question. The question, I think Christian asked it. It was a question about how to. Well, I think how to track. I can pick two questions. So how to track, and where you should not use BDD. Can we
All
pick
right,
two
all
questions?
right,
Mhm.
fair enough. So that means that we're gonna chat with Christian and with Vlad later on and discuss
Mhm.
the prices. Cool. All right. So thank you for that, for the Q&A session, for the talk itself,
Yeah.
and note to the audience. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed this BDD talk, and you've gained some skills and like in general theory and all the best practices that Anton shared so far. Uh, Really, before we wrap up, uh, click like button, right? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Anton, thank you very much one more time. You're a great developer, amazing speaker. Wish you all the best in the management area. Also, thank you very much all the technical experts that shared their skills and their knowledge throughout the JavaScript Competency Center week. It was really amazing event. And audience, again, thank you very much for joining us today and for staying with us this week. It was really amazing stuff. Stay tuned for more to come, and see you next time. Enjoy. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.